Hi, welcome to the third episode of my VMworld CEO Tour 2013. And this morning I'm with CloudByte, very young company. Welcome, Greg Goelz.
Thank you.
Hi, Greg. Greg, I gave you the short briefing of what the interview is about. So let's just get it started and give me a rundown of who Greg Goelz is today.
Wow. Greg Goelz has been in IT for more than 25 years. Done lots of different jobs within it, but one of the things that I always liked about it is the change.
Okay.
Change has been constant, and whether it's new technologies or new approaches to the market. And what I've really always enjoyed is taking on those challenges of bringing new products to market and seeing how that's going to transform business, consumers, different marketplaces, and that's what kind of keeps me coming back.
If you say 25 years, that's a long time. Can you say, find me 2 or 3 highlights in 25 years of changes? Because you like changes, give me 2 or 3 highlights.
Yeah, I think, going way back is when, fault-tolerant storage was a brand new idea. Things called RAID, where we had to spell the letters and really understand how that was going to make disk drives more reliable as a system level for things scaling. So that was a brand new innovation. Back in those days, there were many leaders that are maybe not leaders of today, things like Novell in the networking market. So you see how the market can really change fairly quickly in the short of a couple of years. I think the other area that I was early pioneer in was what we use today for projecting, presentations and collaboration in a workgroup environment. We have digital projectors that are become a commonplace. Back when I started working on them, we were using foil transparencies, and a transition effect was how did you slide the slideware off of the overhead projector. In today's world, we don't see overhead projectors. It's a legacy that's come and gone, and now we use these digital mediums for collaboration in ways that we saw as a capability 15 years ago, but wasn't necessarily seen as that day.
Yeah, so that's more of how you become the person you are today. Do you live in the valley? What's your status? You do live in the valley, do you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and
I do.
You like it here?
I do. I like it here, but I've also grown up in other areas. I was born on the east coast of the U.S., so I grew up in there and spent time in college and all that. Realized that, the weather is what it is, and there's this weather in California that seems very appealing. And so after college, I came to California, and I've been in San Diego for years. I've been in Orange County, and most recently I've been in the Bay Area for about 15 years. And I like it. It's got seasons, it's got changes, it's got diversities of cultures, which really makes it good, because I think that diversity really adds some spice to what goes on in life.
Is it something that really makes a big difference for you from east to west coast, besides choosing earthquakes over hurricanes?
Choosing accents over, choosing food cuisine over. Yeah, I think all those things are add to the diversity and the capabilities. And I think if you embrace that multicultural, multi sort of ideas, everybody says, what's the best place to live in the world? Well, I think most people, it's where they're either living or they want to live. There's lots of good places around the world, and choosing it is really kind of hard, but I think there are a lot of good choices to pick from.
But you found a good place to be at right now.
Yeah, I think Silicon Valley offers a great quality of life, a mild changes of seasons relative to other parts, even the U.S. or around the world. But it also has that mix of high technology from a culture. So between a lifestyle and a work style standpoint, because Silicon Valley is a place where risks can be taken, where it's rewarded from an entrepreneurial standpoint, and that brings a good culture of how things can make change.
Yeah, I think that's something. The more I speak with people that actually live here in the Bay Area, they all have that feeling of it. It's a joint lifestyle. You that tech of during the day actually lives through. You feel that in the air here, something like that. People breathe IT in the Bay Area, and
I think you're right. The proficiency, the expertise that people have, the propensity of moving to new electronic gadgets and ideas, it's sort of a culture that's adopted, and people are rewarded for it. It's not always the same throughout the U.S. or other parts of the world where, maybe I can live without my smartphone. In the Valley, without one smartphone. Maybe I need two. I don't need just a laptop. I need an iPad as well. I need all kinds of tools to really be able to do it. And I think that helps breed the culture of trying new things continuously.
You follow it yourself, like new gadgets, new.
I do. I also, but in the pecking order, I have true nerdy friends who are always the first with the new gadgets, and so I watch what they like and what works well with them, and then adopt them a little bit more. So I'm right behind the early adopters on that.
You see what they like and dislike, and you get a better choice, but still being an early adopter.
I let them read the instructions if it's needed, and then figure out what are the really key, valuable parts of the new gadget.
So you've been here now for 15 years in the Valley, but bring me back a little earlier. How did you come here? How did you become CEO of CloudByte? Up until before CloudByte, what's your track from education through work to become here now, a few months CEO of CloudByte?
Yeah, so I started out in engineering, liked it, love for the sort of technical, the fascination of how you make things evolve and how they change. So that sort of curiosity was really what got me started. But I also recognized that there were other elements of the business that I wanted to make sure I had. So not just the design elements, but how do you make it? What are the operational elements of it? And then what's the critical challenges of how to take it to market? So through that, I went from an engineering degree, got a master's in business administration, very classic like many people do, but also took jobs that allowed me to use those skills in real world environments in different ways. And so gravitated more away from the technical side and the engineering and more into the business management, and found marketing for many years is a great place because you were very connected with the products, but you were also very connected with the customers in the market. And especially with new technologies, you had to figure out how they would adopt them. What are the right partners? What are the right strategies? So there's complexity to it, which was intriguing as well.
Next to finding the next new stuff, you still got to bring it to people, right? They still need to. Sometimes they don't even know that these new things could help them.
They don't know they exist.
Yeah.
They don't know how they would apply them. And so in many ways, the human is an obstacle to new technology adoption. And you have the challenge of how do you make it friendly enough and understandable enough that they see it not as an obstacle, but as an enabler for them to do something that's new or different, to give them a competitive edge, to do something unique.
So right before the interview, you told me, please don't ask me all my jobs that I did, because we'll be speaking for quite a while. Give me the ones that changed your life professionally.
Well, there's a lot of change that you learn. This is CloudByte is my 6th startup from an official standpoint. Mix that with a couple of Fortune 500 companies, you end up with a long list of brand names from a resume and a career. But I think from each of them, you take something away that's valuable. And some of the bigger companies, you take scale and process that becomes important as a company grows. From the smaller companies, I'd love to say they were all fantastically successful, but they weren't. And so
what sticks to mind?
I think the key thing is the people that you get is really important, whether it's a big company or a small company, and how you build the team and how do you keep that team culture going through the scale, because it's not as easy. Starting out with a few people that your hand chosen is okay. As you start to scale it and you go 50 to 100 to 200 to 300, this is always one of the challenges of how startups retain that same sort of cultural feel, but make sure they're always adding the A and the A players to keep that innovation going forward. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges that CEOs have, is maintaining the consistency of that culture and then making it really part of the fabric, so that as everybody's added to the team, it feels the same. It continues to grow in the same way, and that's a challenge. So in having a lot of different situations, for me, it's been rewarding to look back and say that I've built some incredibly productive and creative teams, but also they've enabled some really good successes along the way.
Yeah. What I heard a lot from people in startup CEOs and founders is that people tend to find each other multiple times. Is that something that you say 6 startups, maybe even in a row? There must have been people following you or you following them or getting along together quite well. Is it the same story for you?
I think that's true for a lot of them, but I'm actually kind of not consistent with that story.
Okay.
In each of the 6 startups that I've been with, there wasn't anybody who was in the existing team that I knew before.
Wow.
So it was a complete brand new entry. Now, of course, as you grow the teams, you look back in your past for who are those really few exceptional people that you want to continue to work with and find if it's the right timing for them to come join the team with those capabilities.
You do remember who you have worked with and when they are the good fit for you to bring in.
You do, but again, each new startup is a different stage of a career. It's a different market capabilities, and sometimes you have grade A players that you worked with in the last one, but they're not the skill sets you need going forward.
So now we have CloudByte. Let's get in the company as such. You're very young in the company. It's a young company as such. 2011 first rounds, actually very small rounds. One of the things I catched up. And you joined 2-3 months ago with the B round funding. Not tied together as I've heard. Run me through, how did you get involved? What's the company like? Where did it come from? Where does CloudByte as such come from? Who founded it and why? And how did you get involved? And why did you choose that startup over another?
Yeah. So CloudByte come November will be 3 years old. It goes back to 3 founders who really were working in other companies, and they were trying to address the space for service providers and saw the growth of while service providers were becoming a strategic customer base within the environment. And essentially they said, geez, we'd really like to help you, but with the technology we have today, we can't. We've got to start from scratch. So the nice thing I was looking for was a company that's new enough that it's innovative, is still clear, and they're looking at it in the new way of new generation, but yet has enough traction and runway that it's not technology seeking a market, but yet a market that is technologies being applied to from that standpoint. And I'd spent the last 6 years really in the high performance part of the storage market, selling solid states and building a big portfolio of products. And one of the things that I really understood is that it's a mixed world out there. It's a mix of SSDs and HDDs, so you've got to be able to have solutions that are hybrids. Good customers are moving from HDDs and embracing the performance that SSDs can provide. But it's also got to be done in a very thoughtful way of what is this next generation going on. So you end up with enough new innovation, but enough history that the team has also been out there, tried it, tested it, pushed things to customers, and been able to get great feedback. And I think that was one of the things I was looking for. I think companies that keep customers at the center of what they do are guided through those challenging stages by those customers. And that's really what CloudByte has done in the past history before I came. And that really appealed to me because it's not about designing it, developing it, and then seeing if somebody will take it. It's taking it out early and it's iterating on it. And that makes the team, 1, customer-centric, and 2, makes the feedback into the product and how your direction is going fit where you want to get to.
So it's a product based on customer needs, existing customer need.
Correct. Started and I'll say Felix is sort of the lead founder in that case, was having that challenge, and that he was working with customers. Then they said, I needed to do this, this, and this, and he says, yeah, I can't do that. And the only way to really do that was to start from scratch, the idea, create a new innovative company, and come at it from a very brand new, unique approach. And I think that's always the challenges of bigger companies is, can they throw out the old and start fresh from new? Hard because you can't abandon your customers, and yet you can't see the transformation of how radical it has to be in a different case. And that's where startups have the advantage, because they don't have the customer base to install to worry about, or the iterations of it, and they can really take a fresh, clean sheet, look at it and say, here's what I would do to solve this opportunity. So
first product January earlier this year, if I'm not wrong, some kind of like half a year ago, first product ready to market. So actually young product, Gen 1, as I may say, right after R&D. Where do we see CloudByte in a year?
So one of the things that impressed me is that actually the first product released in August of last year, and in January was 1.1. So in many cases, most people call that the first real product, because everybody knows that the 1.0 there's probably
It's
got
a
some
beta.
opportunity.
Yeah, beta customers.
It's got some opportunity to go forward from that standpoint. But we're proud that 1.1 is on production systems for customers today. And so we think there's a lot of history, a lot of testing, a lot of maturity to it, but we've got a great and exciting roadmap going forward. And I think that's the innovation that the team that also sparked it, which is you're doing good, but when you talk about the future, they get excited because of all the ideas we have that we want to put forward. So a year from today, I think a lot of things will be different. I think the product will be bigger in feature set and scale to additional market segments. And I think it'll also be much more recognized that this is a need that has to happen in that shared storage environment. And being able to deliver that application level granularity that much like VM does in a way to be able to have managed multiple applications uniquely, it allows that with storage alignment. I think it's going to be very well recognized that that's key for the future.
What's your challenge in those next 12 months as in your role as a CEO? Where can I pin you on to question you again in the next week before VMworld 2014?
Yeah.
What's going to be your challenge?
I think that's a great question. I think the team has done a good job building a solid core engineering team and the capabilities to do it. I think it's our stage now. We're going through the go-to-market strategy. Making sure we can maintain that level of customer support and intimacy that we've had in the early stages as we scale and grow. And so I think the measurement will be where will we be from a go-to-market team? Will it be as strong as our core engineering team is today, and how do we make that happen? And I think the other measure will be from the customers. How satisfied are they with CloudByte as it's continued to grow? Are they as happy or more satisfied than they were from the original stages?
So yeah, I think you got a challenge there, right? You got a Gen 1 product that is actually ready for production. You need to bring in. You need to build a sales team. You need to build that marketing team. I think that's actually indeed your challenge for the next year. Going to VMworld, I think it might not be your first VMworld as such, but it is your first VMworld as CloudByte. Any specifics that you want to add? What do you want to get out of VMworld, and what does the company want to get out of this? How important is the ecosystem and the event?
Oh, I think it's an extremely important event. I look at how virtualization is transforming the whole landscape of on the compute stack, on the networking, and certainly on the storage infrastructures. So it's a huge initiative that's going forward. For the things we really want to get out is we want to get a little bit more visibility into the broader market, because we align very well with what's going on with virtualization, which is how do you maximize what you can get out of a set of resources. Very competitive from a cost landscape, so the best way to do it is get more out of what you've got. And much like you get that with virtual environments, we help enable that by making storage align with that same sort of element. So getting more visibility, I think, will be a key thing. Also, getting just out and meeting different partners. Nice thing about as new as our technology is, a lot of there's routes to the markets and the partnerships have been established over a long time. I managed a large global team of a sales and marketing organization and have always been respectful of partners, how much they have an intimacy to the end customer, how valuable they are in the reference elements of, geez, I got a problem, how do I solve it? One of the first places they go to the partners. Many of them go to bloggers, medias as well, but they're looking for independent third-party people who look at it and go, yeah, that's good stuff. And so we're looking for those as well as to get from the show. And in that community, there's lots of activities, and everybody's trying to figure out how to use technology for an edge.
Well, I'll definitely stop by at the booth, have a look at the product. Maybe I'll even write something myself if it tickles my brain enough. Greg, thank you very much for the interview, for your time, and we'll see each other next week at VMworld.
Thank you very much.